I'd like to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present with the exception of Manazan Petty. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Right. First item on our agenda are announcements from the health department. At this time, I will turn things over to our health agent, Chris Schultz.
We have COVID test kits, so if you're looking for them, please feel free to stop by. And we also have a plethora of free Sharps containers. So if you know anybody that needs Sharps containers, please come and help yourself. Good for announcements.
All right. Any questions for the health department?
Nope.
All right. Next, discussion on animal regulations. So as a follow-up from our last meeting, our plan is to start to look at Whitman as an option for some of their regulations and kind of what they have available to us. That's after talking to Joe Kenny, who came and kind of gave us the option of adopting more like barn regs as opposed to the animal regulations we'd written. Basically, you kind of, here's what's in my barn or in my property that has animals, and that's what we permit. It doesn't get us too much into the weeds of every single type of possible animal combination, and that's the good part about that. But these regulations that Whitman has are incredibly difficult to track down, and we haven't been able to do it yet.
No, it's on Rockland only.
And I know between the health department, myself, and Joe, we haven't quite figured out who's going to be the one to do it. Luckily, we're meeting next week, so we're going to dig a little bit more into exactly how we can get a hold of those, look at that, and make that an option for us versus what we have now, and maybe we can kind of Frankenstein together exactly what we need to do. We were talking about being more specific with stable regs in there as well, because that's really the thing that's being asked of us. So as long as we have the barn option included with the stable reg sort of thing, that's more in the realm of, I think, what we're looking to do. And it's probably not more than 5 pages long. So just as a recap and kind of where things are at with that. So that's kind of going to hold on the table till next week, and we should be able to go a little more on that. Any questions, comments, concerns, idiosyncrasies, enigmas?
Nope.
No? Awesome.
No, I looked at like all the Tri-Town areas. I did Bridgewater, I did Carver. I couldn't find any of the animal regulations or permits or anything like that, except for Rockland, which had a application to keep animals or poultry, and then what the permit looked like, which is kind of nice, but that was all I could find too. So, same.
You can start while I'm grabbing my pen or pencil.
Probably, yeah.
No. All right. If there's no other discussion on animal regulations, we'll move on to the next item, which is the discussion and possible vote to allow food truck permitting reciprocity. Chris, do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. So as you know, local boards of health are in charge of regulating and permitting and inspecting food establishments. Food establishments, by definition, are not mobile. They live within one town, so they go through that process once. Mobile food trucks are a different beast, and they have to be permitted and inspected in every single town that they operate. So for a food truck operator to work in, let's say the South Shore, they can often end up paying thousands of dollars in permitting for every town. Department of Public Health in Massachusetts says that all health departments should be inspecting and regulating the same across the boards. So theoretically, if a truck is permitted and inspected in, say, Rockland or Whitman, it should be the same standards that Abington applies. So one thing I was going to ask the board to consider was if a food truck was coming to be permitted in Abington and was able to provide us with a copy of a current permit in a neighboring town and a current inspection that they passed, that we would just charge an administrative fee of like $5 for the permit. Instead of what we charge right now, a 1 day is $50, seasonal is $75, and an annual is $150. That would accept any food truck that was new. They would still have to go through the same process, and if somebody wasn't permitted or unable to provide that documentation for us, i.e. I'm not researching it, because if I have to research it, then we should charge them at least $50 for my time. But if they're able to provide all the paperwork for us, then I just administrative fee to cover the cost, and that would hopefully attract more food trucks to Abington.
I like that idea because it was it a couple years ago where you did like all of the health departments would meet at like Forge Pond and do it that way. And I know pre-COVID, I was trying to work with a local business to bring in food trucks, and having them have to get in each town where Abington doesn't have that many places for food trucks. A lot of them were like, I'm not going to go through all of that if I can only go to 2 establishments, where if I'm in, Weymouth, I have all these other options. But if it's just an administrative fee so that they can then do that, I think that brings in a ton more business. And I love the idea of just easiness all around. So,
That was kind of hopes.
yep.
We do still share inspections, but only with Whitman, Stoughton, Avon, and Brockton. So we have one service that inspects those trucks for all our towns. So last year when they did that, they didn't have to get inspected by us, but they still had to pay the full permitting fee. So that's what I'm looking to change if the board was agreeable to that. And the amount of food trucks, I mean, I can tell you last year, I think we had 14 or 15 trucks permitted. Currently for 2024, we have 1 truck permitted. So we're not going to lose money.
Right.
And as I've had to stress to our FinCom, we're not looking to make a profit off of permit fees. The state regulations covers our costs. So
Are other towns looking to do the same type of program where they're,
not that I'm aware of. There has been some talk amongst the food truck establishment of petitioning the state for some sort of consideration. That's why we're kind of progressively leaning. I am at least leaning towards that, but as far as I know, no other towns are looking to lower their fees.
Would the plan be if somebody has, say, a seasonal permit in another community, they get a seasonal permit with us too? They're going to get the same type of permit coming
Yeah,
here?
it would match.
Because we've got 3 tiers, that. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I think that helps. Yeah, because we don't have, food trucks go to breweries and sports arenas and a lot of things that we just don't have a lot of. So, unless we bring a food truck rodeo back, there's no reason for people to pay that much more for us. But
And that's one of the reasons we no longer have the food truck rodeo. They stopped coming here because it just wasn't profitable enough for them to do it at Abington. So that could help.
Do you feel comfortable with like the level of regulations in the other towns? Like, I just worry. Like, I know that you would be vigilant. Are all the other towns going to be as vigilant?
One would hope. I mean, I read through the combined food code today to make sure. It's the same across the state. All that documentation has to be provided with the permit. So as long as they send all that paperwork, I can still review it and make sure that everything's in order.
And yeah, we don't have anything that's in excess of the state standard, so everybody's going to have to meet that minimum anyways, as far as food trucks are concerned. So I think that's a fair standard.
And I'm not asking the board to change any of or add any regulations, just a fee.
I like it.
Makes sense. Me too. I'm agreeable. And no need for you to like double duty something that's already been done. Seems kind of wasteful of your energy.
So just to clarify this, if we were to do it, and just if anybody's thinking of making a motion, I guess keep this in mind so it's worded the right way. But this is more of a motion to amend the fee schedule to include this than it is to change anything regulation wise or policy wise. So, any discussion or action?
I think it's reasonable. I mean, I definitely think it's more business friendly. I understand that that it doesn't make sense where we have so many small towns in this area that you have to go for each town. So and it's also from paperwork standpoint, it takes off less work from our staff. So I think all those reasons why I think it's something that we should definitely do. So I don't know if you want to entertain a motion.
Yeah, let's take a motion.
Okay. So the motion would be to change the fee or recognize other towns.
Neighboring towns, right?
Neighboring towns.
Was the idea.
Neighboring towns inspections for food trucks, mobile food trucks, and that the fee would only be $5 when they provide all the necessary paperwork from an inspection and a license from a neighboring town.
Yep. Current inspection and current
inspection and
Yeah.
current permit from a neighboring town.
Second.
All right. Let me try and regurgitate that so we're all on the same page. The motion is to amend the fee schedule to create a $5 fee for food trucks to have reciprocity in Abington with a current permit from a neighboring town.
Correct.
Seconded by Amanda. Perfect.
Nail it.
Something pretty we can write down. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion passes. Any other discussion on this? No, probably not. All right. Next is Health Agent Report. Chris, back to you.
Okay, I included a copy for everybody. As you see, we got a bunch of inspections done this past week. Rosie's Liquors, True Keys was a re-inspect. Giardino's, Moto Garden, Lynch's Tavern, Martin's Restaurant, Lynch's I have Lynch's on there twice. Old Town Cafe, Sarcastic Swine, and the Cellar. There were probably more than 4 priority violations. There was a problem with the software that we use for our inspection report, so I haven't gotten the full information back on those yet. But there were 4 that I did issue. And those restaurants will be re-inspected next week. Complaints, we had 2 complaints, 2 anonymous complaints came in over the phone about inadequate water supply at local restaurants, chiefly no hot water in the restroom. Those were inspected. I did a spot inspection just for the complaint. They were both in compliance. Anonymous complaint from a tenant about mold in their apartment. They had moved out. I can't inspect an apartment that's not currently being occupied by somebody. Somebody else called with a mouse infestation complaint. I spoke with the building management. Exterminator was scheduled, just not quick enough for the tenant. But that is being rectified. And then we received a complaint this morning about a moisture issue and possible mold problem in an apartment, and I have scheduled an inspection for the 28th. And that's it.
Awesome.
Any questions, comments from the board on that? All right, moving on. Vote to approve the minutes of February 5th.
Everyone take a look at those.
Either Amanda or Katie, if you want to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 5th, 2024.
Motion.
Yep.
Motion to approve the minutes by Katie. Amanda, you second those?
Yep.
Okay, great. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes. Okay. Public comment? If the chairs could talk.
The chairs could talk.
Correspondence.
And lastly, correspondence. Anybody from the board or the health department? Can we share?
So I have one, and I'm just mentioning this mostly to make the board aware because you will have to deal with this down the road. Last month, I was forced to revoke the permit for one restaurant in Abington, Teffy's on 123. They are currently shuttered due to horrific sanitary conditions in there. The owner recently contacted me and said he is looking to be re-inspected and reopened. I will not issue him a new permit. I have told him that he needs to come before the Board of Health and have a hearing. When he explains to this board's satisfaction that the restaurant will be safe for the public, I will then, at your direction, permit him and inspect him if that's the wish of the board. But I have made him aware that he will need to appear before this board at a hearing before that time. I did check with with Nancy Hurst, and he does have his common vic, and although he hasn't paid his liquor license, he still has it. So as long as he pays that, he'll have it. So he's able to operate as a business. It's just getting past the Board of Health. So once I touch base with him again, I will try to set up a time that's agreeable to both. Probably just one of your regular business meetings. Have him come in and have a hearing. So.
Can we make sure that the previous inspection report is available to this group as well?
I was going to say the same.
Yeah, I'll email that to all of you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that was it for correspondences.
Okay. I don't have anything new to follow up. I should mention on the American lung cancer screening thing. That was mentioned there before. It was kind of thrown at me. I know I handed it off to the health department, but nobody's followed up on. I don't know if you have, but nobody's followed up with me. So if anything new comes to that, I will share it. But nothing from there. All right. Hearing nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn by Kevin. Do I have a second? Second, Katie. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.